There's a lot that is happening with Bra. Let me tell you. I once again want to just thank God for Sonia Brown, because she has started this ball rolling, and people are sending in, all kinds of information about Bra and what they have been enduring at Bra. And that's one of the areas that we're going to march about on March the 23rd at 10 o'clock, when we meet at there at Kensington Oval, Mastercard Park. This is an area where we're calling for that external investigation and audit of BRA. So, Mr. Franklin, take it away and tell us what are the latest developments of BRA.
What's happening at Bra? Bra, the senior management at Bra have now discovered that they have crooks in their midst.
Hmm.
So rather than deal with them, they're finding excuses.
Hmm.
People who have done a lot of wrongdoing. For instance, the excuse that you will hear coming for the lady who is in charge of enforcement is that her house is in a flood prone area, so that is why the value is down. But that doesn't make sense because the other houses next to her would be in flood prone area too, but they didn't come down. So they think all of us are stupid, and they're walking about the place, giving these answers, trying to find their way. You know, now they get caught bits on their brown, and they call them agricultural land. If you look at the land tax orders, you will not see anything in those orders that says agricultural land. If you got land and they have an improved value, maybe if you got a house on it or something like that, then you pay a particular rate.
Mm-hmm.
If it is vacant land with no structure, you pay the highest rate of tax. So that is where agriculture will come, because the agricultural thing doesn't have a house on it, don't have a house or have land. Now, if for some reason you have a house, you charge the rate at the lower rate when you have a residence on the property. It does not speak to agricultural land. What the thing that speaks to agricultural land is if you are using the property for agriculture and you are paid the highest rate and you get a certificate from the Ministry of Agriculture saying that you are a farmer, you get the rebate. That is all. I don't listen to anybody that land tax department telling you or that they're classified as agricultural land, or that they use town planning things to determine it's agricultural land. Two different things altogether. They are not empowered, or
Uh-huh.
they don't have any right by law to use any town planning designations for agricultural land to tax people. You tax people based on the value of the land. If it is improved land, if it has an improved value, you get a lower rate because it doesn't mean you got a house or something on it. If it is unimproved land, and usually that's agricultural land because they got nothing on the land, so you get charged at the highest rate. The reason for that is that they want to force people to go into agriculture, don't mind Abrams. And so if you have vacant land with no structure on it, you pay the highest rate of tax. But then if you farm that land, and the Ministry of Agriculture can certify to land tax that you are using that land for farming, you get the rebate. So that will bring your rate down
Yeah.
significantly. So you have different rates for depending on the value of the improvements. So when you see them going against people and talk about this agricultural land, ask them on what basis. Where is the law that says so? Because there's nothing in the land tax order signed by the minister responsible for finance that specifies any charge for agricultural land. If you do agriculture on your land, but you got a house on it, you charge on the improved value of the land, which would be land and house, and you'd pay the lower rate because it is a dwelling. Now, if you plant food on it, and let's say you are also a farmer, even though it has a house on it, you can still get the Ministry of Agriculture to determine that, well, the house is secondary, you're already a farmer, and they will give you the certificate for the rebate. But for land tax, BRA, to
Right.
determine that, oh, this is agricultural land, not their business. Has nothing to do with them. They value the land, and that's it. And then they charge you taxes based on the value. And if it has an improved value, you charge on that. And if it has an improved value and it has a house on it, you pay the lower rate. If it doesn't have a house on it or it doesn't have a structure on it, you pay the higher rate. And they do that for people even who buy land in developments and just leave it in bush. If you put a
Mm-hmm.
house, the rate comes down. So somebody in there was lying to you, and because the explanation sounds good, you went with it, but it is not true. What they need to do is to suspend those people who I identified on this show a couple of nights back. Suspend them because there's enough evidence out there to at least suggest wrongdoing, and then investigate them. If there's no wrongdoing, they go back to work. If there's wrongdoing, you bring charges against them and get the referral in public service, because it is a scandal. It is a national scandal. When they're valuing the lands, they got something they call an enclosure. So you value the things in that enclosure. So you cannot take out one in the enclosure and bring it down and say this is in a flood prone area, because all of them in that enclosure will be in the flood prone area. Don't listen to that nonsense. It is an excuse. It is not the truth. And they're hoping because you have not read the Land Tax Act and you have not read the order signed by the minister, that you would rely on them. But you do not expect a person who is accused of an offense to be on the jury. And that is what is happening here. They are on the jury.
Kimar, you are ready now for us. I know you have a lot to share with us on this hope or hopeless project. So over to you, Kimar.
Yes, good night to you, Marcia. Good night, Caswell. Good night to Rose. And good night to all of the members of the loyal opposition. I am very, very, very happy to be here. I am back here again to speak about the whole project. Day by day, we sit by, and the more information we get on this project, we get to understand exactly the level of corruption and the level of nasty and nefarious deeds that happen within the Ministry of Housing. So the information that I'm about to reveal this evening, if this information gets into the hands of the director of public prosecution, somebody could be charged for the misappropriations of taxpayers' money in this country, because this whole project is indeed a scandal, and the newspapers are not carrying this scandal. And somebody needs to answer for this whole project, because the information that we have is so damning. I want to show you guys the whole project in its introduction, just to see the Prime Minister of this country convincing Barbadians that this project was indeed the best thing for us. Had a big launch at Vesper Gardens. They put up videos on YouTube and everything. So I want you guys to see exactly what we have here, because this video that I'm going to show you is very important to the information I have to review, because the former chairman of the whole project, who is Mr. Hoyers, that particular chairman, we are going to list a long set of information here, and you, the loyal opposition, will determine after we finish if further action should be taken. So I want you to see the Prime Minister speaking, and again, this is quoted speech coming from her and coming from the chairman. So first, you can see here the CEO of HOPE, right? This is the introduction of the whole project. So this launch occurred at Vesper Gardens. You see a big soiree happening here. Members from the credit union. You saw the Prime Minister earlier. You see all these big fancy shots and everything. A whole big public relations exercise surrounding the height of HOPE. Right? So I'm hoping that you're seeing what transpired. This person is was the chief executive officer of HOPE, right? And she's speaking to the crowd, introducing herself, whatever, right? And I'm going to bring you forward so that you can hear some of the words of the chairman.
To everybody, Prime Minister, thank you for coming. And we're going to open the two. Prime Minister has agreed to open the two show units for us today, two-bedroom units. And next month, we'll open a 3-bedroom show unit. And there's a number of persons here who have qualified for loans. And we've invited them to come and take a sneak peek. From here on out, every Saturday, we will have show units open to the public. As Tamara says, this is approximately 155 units we want to build here. Although we are contemplating, we are actually in the design phase now of bringing in some townhouses. because those will add to and allow us to increase the density of the area, and they also meet a different. It expands the offering. Some people like the idea of a townhouse, slightly bigger, with living, dining downstairs and bedrooms upstairs. When we finish this, not when we finish, we've already started clearing land at Pool in St. John, where we have a proposal for 200.
I need you to listen to this part very carefully when he speaks about the land at Pool in St. John. I need you to listen to this part very carefully.
101 residences. That infrastructure work has started 2 weeks ago. We should start building in St. John at the junction between Four Roads and the St. John Woods at the edge of Pool Plantation, where it borders onto the road. And we're going to build 201 residences there. Those residences will start in September this year after the road works are put in. We also hope to be able to start Colleton in St. Lucie at about 85 residences. That infrastructure work we hope will start in the near future, and then.
Right. So I hope you saw and you heard for yourself that clip when he was speaking about the lands at Pool in St. John. Right. What's interesting about that gentleman's statement, Marcel, is that he was also the chairman at Resolution Life, or what they call CLICO. He was the chairman, and it was his decision that he took to transfer the lands at Pool in St. John to Hope, seemingly under questionable circumstances. So he was simultaneously the chairman at Hope, while being the chairman at Resolution Life. At Resolution Life were the persons who own the land, CLICO, right? But as you know, it was in receivership and whatever, and he was the chairman. So he would have transferred the lands, or seemingly transferred the lands over to Hope. But then if you could recall, the chairman of Hope came out and said that the government never had the title deeds. So for the action that he took, he was removed and he was fired from the board, Marcia, as he was fired because the actions that he took as the chairman of Hope, where he channeled money to a specific developer and using his position as the chairman of Hope. So we're going to tread cautious here because we don't want any letters coming, but they say pictures speak 1,000 words. So once the audience and the loyal opposition sees the pictures, then you could understand essentially what I am speaking about, where I said that lands were channeled to a specific developer in Barbados without a tender. So we can see persons here speaking at the launch of Hope Premium in Christchurch, right? You can see. The loyal opposition can see. We can understand. We don't have to name names, but the facts are there. And for his actions, in terms of channeling monies, government monies that was handed over to Hope, the minister came out and said that a tender was issued for the project when he knew full well there was no tender for this Hope project. And the chairman was terminated. He was fired from Hope. And if you remember, we had a senator from the Barbados Labour Party. He was the deputy chairman at Hope as well. So you're just going to scroll leisurely by that you can see the whole entire charade that was put on to trick the people of Barbados into believing that there were going to be homes built when they knew full well that they were going to be scammed because taxpayers' money has been spent and the people have not moved in the houses. What they said, Marcia, pictures tell 1,000 words. This is the same man that was cursed all over Barbados by the Prime Minister. It's saying that he was getting too much work and he was getting too much contracts and everything. But the chairman at the Hope project, she needs to come and tell us exactly why he was fired. They need to tell us why the CEO was fired. Because we have this cross-border relationship happening as it relates to CLICO Res Life and as it relates to the whole project. You had persons leaving directly from Clico Red Life and joining the board of Hope. And I want to tread carefully here because we don't want to trespass, but some information needs to be shared, some factual information needs to be shared. The initial board of Hope had 6 directors. The chairman, the same guy that we saw in the clip, he then extended that board to include 2 additional people. And one of those persons ended up being the chairman much later, whose name was Mr. Lane. He then last 6 months. He was appointed in July 2023, as I said on the show before, and he then last 6 months before he was out. And a new chairman being announced, which is the same guy that came out and said that the government did not have the title deeds. Colin Shafee was the name. He came out and said that this is the guy that worked at Four Seasons, along with Mr. Prasad as well. All of these persons worked at Four Seasons. So the chairman was then removed, and another person has now become the chairman of Hope. So we have a new chairman at Hope, and we saw no announcements again, not published in the Gazette again, not published in Parliament, not published anywhere. And we have a new chairman, and the information and the files reaching us are suggesting that the CEO of Hope, his salary was increased by $4,000 extra, and it is being alleged that he does not have a work permit to be employed in Barbados. It is the allegation that the new CEO of Hope does not have a work permit to work in Barbados. And what's even more dangerous is that the new CEO of Hope, taxpayers' money is sent directly to his account in England.
Another Englishman?
Yes, hired through the dark of night, and taxpayers' money is sent directly to England. And it is being said that this man doesn't even have a work permit to work in Barbados.
My God, if that is true, that's something that needs investigation. If that is true, Kimar, that is serious.
This thing smelled like that from almost its scratch. So on the time they said they were giving away free land and you can get returns on investment from putting PV systems on your house. And then you saw the minister coming out, spreading, he was giving false news, false indications, telling lies, whatever he was doing, when he denied the fact that the money was issued without a tender to the specific developer. That should have raised alarms in Barbados. But again, we don't have accurate, or we don't have the transparency. They blocked housing from coming into the wells. They blocked the opposition leader from asking questions on this whole project, and we can see why. So I would like an investigation done by the Auditor General and additional information handed to the Director of Public Prosecutions to be able to do an investigation. I would ask the opposition leader to allow the Public Accounts Committee to investigate this housing issue. Because how just last month you issued a statement from a CEO who then came out and said that the government doesn't own title deeds, and he was fired between that space of time and now, and a new CEO appointed.
Hold a minute. You know, it just hitting me. I hate to disturb you, but I'm learning as I make notes, right? So you're telling me that the CEO, all along you're talking, it didn't hit me, you know. The CEO that came out and told us that they did not have the title deeds. I remember that was just the other day. And he's fired. He's gone?
He's gone.
No, man.
Fired.
You're sure? Wow. I didn't realize that's what you're actually saying, you know.
Yes, I'm saying he's gone and a new person has been appointed. And this person, the allegation is that this new person, he does not have a work permit. His salary was increased by an additional $4,000. And the money, taxpayers' money, is being paid to him from here directly to England, into an account in England, to a bank account in England. So you see the level of corruption that's happening with this whole project in Barbados. So we need answers from the Minister of Housing and the Ministry of Housing to clear the air on these allegations surrounding this whole scandal, because this project was intended to be worth $250 million. But developers can be walking away with fat pockets, no tender, no way to account for any of the money, no houses. So you can see how taxpayers' money was wasted. Taxpayers' money was wasted and the people were fleeced. So somebody needs to come and speak up about this whole project because this information is damning. The Minister of Housing, Mr. Dugade, Dwight Sunderland, the Prime Minister, somebody needs to come and say something to us because this do not look good.
Something is wrong, and there's nothing in asking questions. These are allegations, and we are asking questions from the Prime Minister. This is taxpayers' money, and so what we're doing, we're asking questions of the Prime Minister, the different CEOs. You can't keep up at this point. I mean, up to was it last week? About three of them just up and resign. When you see something like that happening, Kimar, something is wrong.
Yes, the internal auditor, the project manager, and I think a finance officer, they all resigned. So those are three persons who had power to sign financial deals, along with the CEO who was fired. So four financial officers left the company under questionable circumstances in such a quick space of time. The CEO and the three officers that we spoke about.
This is reminding me of that scam there with the injection scam. This is the whole thing just seemed like a scam, and a lot of the things that's done in this government seem very scamish. That's the truth. It seemed there's a lot of these things. I mean, and the fact that it was not discussed in the estimates, housing was not there. But it's the thing that people stupid, Kimar.
Well, they are taking advantage of the fact that the people may not be, but they are paying attention. But why I'm disappointed because this project was mentioned all over the world on in the New York Times and some other international blogs as being a savior for Barbadians. And I too, as a person who has interest in real estate, I would be happy to know that Barbados had access to the low-income housing project. I would have been happy. But to know that you have hope, you have Res Life, and you have Parliament in the same building, and you gone ahead and built on the land knowing that you did not have the title deeds. You enter into an arrangement to buy the stock off of the developer and use your emergency powers to say, just give him and took up $60 million out to the central bank's housing credit fund to do it. And we on the show we were scratching our heads asking, how come the central bank, if you remember that time, how come the central bank was invested? And we were questioning what this thing was housing credit fund, but it became clear based off the information that we got that they used $60 million out to the central bank housing credit fund to put into this project. 60 million gone, not a house people that are living in. But they put on an entire charade to come and trick the people of this country, knowing what was happening in the background. So they who were in control over the Clico lands, who were on the board, the chairman, him along with about 3 or 4 others who were also on the board of Clico, and they all transitioned from Clico straight over to Hope. And they were appointed by a minister. They didn't just jump in there. And Mr. Dugade was the minister over the project when it was rolled out. And there are the videos to prove it. It is the absolute fact that Mr. Dugade had responsibility for the first rolling out of the project, meaning that it was his decision to appoint these persons, knowing full well what this entire thing was all about. So Mr. Dugade, as the Minister of Housing, he needs to face the music as it relates to appointing all these persons based off the information we got and allegedly are proven to be absolute corrupt. And Mr. Sunderland, he needs to answer for the fact, no, that 3 of those financial officers resigned, the CEO was fired, and now they allegedly have a new CEO in the Ministry of Housing, and taxpayers' money is sent to England to pay him $4,000 more than what the Glasgow was working for, and he may not even have a work permit. So we need some information on that. I don't suspect that. I would have some hope that
no pun intended.
something happens with this people. And that chairman, who they allegedly said is the boyfriend or spouse of a minister of government in this country, he is the boyfriend or the spouse of a minister a government in this country, and he was allowed to do things like that. He was allowed to misuse his position as the chairman of CLICO, simultaneously the chairman of Hope, to be signing off on things that he had no power to sign off on.
I am not as cautious as you, Kimar. He was the partner of Cynthia Bradshaw, the deputy prime minister. You know, I don't know if he still is. You know, these things happen, but at the time when it was going on, he and Cynthia were involved in a relationship, and it's that alone makes it look bad because he getting these kind of sweetheart deals with the number two person in government. Something wrong. You gotta let people know these things because you can't say a minister because they got a lot of ministers in there. They got too many, but it was the deputy prime minister. Sorry for going to, but I didn't want people not to know who you're talking about because I still waiting for that thing up my tail, you know.
So you're saying that the deputy prime minister's boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or whatever was allowed to take, although he was chairman of the board, he was allowed to take another position called an executive project director, where he was paid a salary of $20,000 a month, and then he was allowed to be paid, we call it retroactively, where he would have been back paid all of the time that he was chairman. He was allowed to do that as the spouse or the boyfriend of the. This is pure corruption.
At least he wasn't getting 7,005.
Oh my gosh, this is something. I mean, these are serious allegations, and I'm hoping that there are people from the government who are watching this podcast this evening and can answer some of these questions. We know you listen, and these are questions that we're asking, and we have a right to ask these questions because it's taxpayers' money, and a lot of these things we don't know. These are allegations, and we're asking you. Answer these questions, please. And we're calling, Kima, we're calling on people to get out there on March 23rd. On March 23rd, we are going to be asking questions about this whole project. We're not stupid. If you won't ask the questions, if we can't get the questions answered in Parliament, you go answer us on the street. Because you decided that you're not going to do the housing, that the Ministry of Housing is not going to be part of the estimates. You decided that. Because with the hope that these questions will not come up, the leader of the opposition cannot ask these questions. Well, the people are going to ask the questions on the streets of Barbados, March 23rd. Meet us at 10 o'clock, right there at Kensington Oval.
Tell me something, Kimar. Wasn't Phillips one of the ministers in housing? I think so, and coincidentally, he is the fellow that stopped Ralph from asking about housing. Because he's chairman of committees. Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Very, very interesting. But these things need to be said because, as you rightfully said, they're trying to block the opposition leader from asking these probing questions, but we, the people, will ask on these forums. So that is why they will want to bring the cybercrime bill to shut us down. Because if we had read this information and they passed that bill, I'll be facing 7 years in jail or $70,000 or both. But they need to be exposed. And this is worse than Harwood housing, This is worse. And the problem that I have is that at the time when you promising people 10,000 houses, you even heard Dwight Sunderland in the Parliament reinforcing the fact that he's going to build 10,000 houses and they're going to have a housing revolution in Barbados. Knowing full well that the whole project cannot go anywhere because it has to be investigated. And pure corruption has happened with that project and it cannot go anywhere. So after he promised the public that he would have addressed the whole project, no later we are wiser. And if he cannot come and give the public factual information like what we give here, and saying to the public straight that the chairman of the whole project, well, he was also the chairman of CLICO, illegally transferred those lands, but we didn't get any deeds, but allow people to go and build on whole and transferring money to a developer at the same time. I was fired for it. We need answers, Marcia.
And it's a shame that the newspapers, that they're not carrying it. And I know that once it involves certain people, that what happens a lot of times is that they pretend like it doesn't exist. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. We are the ones that will take the chance and put it out there. because of this the sake of the Barbadian people. Where we will put it out there, but they're not the others aren't doing it.
You see, they're afraid, and those who aren't afraid are in the government's pockets, or they're in the government's pocket or something. So one of the other things you must remember is that government does a lot of advertising in the newspapers. And the newspapers don't really make money by selling newspapers, you know. They make money by the advertising. And
Right,
every government pulls the advertising from them, so they are between a rock and a hard place because the newspaper is still a business. Still got to make money, still got to pay staff, still got to pay like bill, water bill, and all kind of stuff. So when it isn't that, because I remember some years ago when they first disclosed that Quartz, the furniture store downtown, had owed $35 million in principal on VAT that they collected, and somebody somehow did the truck pass it, drop off at me and in my house, and I had their full VAT account. I gave it to the nation, and the nation couldn't dare print it because courts told them if you print it, we to do $1 million advertising, we ain't getting none. So it never came up. It is only then after we had Gibbons lost his job at the nation that he then put the story on Facebook. It's a question of finances. So when you get this little monkey news that you see around the place, it is when the government don't want, if the government allow you to bring it out, you know, or not, you're in trouble, you know. And then they have, these politicians have made sure that they get their people appointed as editors and stuff, managing editors or whatever you call them these days. So when stories come in, you got somebody to block the story before it can get out. They tell
right.
me now at the nation that some, depending on, you can get some stories coming out, and if you want a story that hitting the government, you gotta wait till a certain person is off because it can't get out. It is as simple as that, you know. So we don't have and journalists who would investigate these matters because if they do it, they're gonna be looking for work. So if not for this Marcia Week show, we would not get a lot of things that the public should know would not come out. And I always thank Marcia for allowing me to come on her show because there were so many things I wanted to talk about. And since they took the Senate from under me, I had the presidents to go. So thank you, Marcia. I will never forget you. You know.
And I mean, on behalf of the people of Barbados, I thank you for the education that you are giving to the people, even just tonight.
Yeah.
And so it's a two-way street. So I say thank you on behalf of the people of Barbados because one of the things, and you know it, Hemar knows it, nobody pays us to come on here. There's no ad. Nobody pay no ads on here. You understand? I try to keep this thing pure for you, for Barbados. That nobody can say they own this and tell me when to sit down and when to stand up and when to turn around. Absolutely not. I tell you now, that has not happened. And I've done everything I can do to keep myself away from that. Okay? And the people that you see here, they come out of their own free will to do what they have to do. Nobody on here is paid. None. And that's what you
Marcia,
can get the
I don't
purity.
want Kimar to go before I ask him a question because I want to hear him on the Prime Minister not turning up at the estimates, but she could turn up down here at Hammond's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I suspect if Ralph wanted to hear the Prime Minister speak on anything, he should go on Hammond's because he ain't hear you in the house. You know what happened at Hammond's? This old factory has been converted to some entertainment center by Bernie Weatherhead, and the Prime Minister now they're doing opening the night when she should be in Parliament during the day. She ain't in Parliament, but now she can find time to be and make it convenient enough because it would have to be arranged around her trips around the world because she don't got the time for Barbados really. You know, I was telling somebody at Bra the other day, you know, that look sharp, the Prime Minister might be able to claim that she's not resident in Barbados because for tax purposes, because you have to be in Barbados for 182 days a year, and she just don't qualify. So she don't qualify to pay tax in Barbados yet. Be careful, I want to see her return. She isn't here, but she can find time and make time to go and open a place of decadence entertainment, sorry. Why she think that is more important than the estimates? Or I can't say think because I don't think that she does any of that. Because if she was doing any of that, she would leave Netanyahu alone. Because you heard the clip where she was making the statement that Netanyahu needs to be separated from the people of from people of Israel, and she want to fight Netanyahu. She wanted to get rid of Putin. She want to get rid of me. She want to get rid of Marcy. She all want to get rid of everybody. But I want to hear you on this estimates thing, Lord, because clients is she there?
Well, to be honest, I don't suspect the prime minister will want to come and face the opposition leader. Um, Sitting on the receiving end of questions from Ralph, uh, based off the way he's been making those ministers look so far, I don't think she'll want to subject herself to that. There's no way to stand on the bully pulpit and rebut and rebuff with long-winded speeches. So she will not feel comfortable in a scenario like that. So you have the budget now where she can stand and speak for 4 hours as she wishes. And when the opposition leader stands to speak, she can rebuff and cut out and trample, and they could heckle him as they wish while he's on his feet speaking. But in the format that they have, that is not conducive to thing. I just don't think that she want to face questions from the opposition leader. There's so many things that she has to answer because remember she has about 13 ministries, so she will have to sit in the wells 13 times to be questioned 13 different times, and that just not happening as well. So her presence will be in the budget. Think about it. She has to sit and answer for investment. She has to answer for economic affairs. She has to answer for telecommunications. And we know the whole list. You really take that. You really take the prime minister to do that.
Public service, finance. You know, the list is almost endless.
Yeah, it's right.
And she don't think that she should have to account to the people of Barbados for her actions. She doesn't have to account for playing loads of people flying off the place. You know, I don't mind people going on vacations and stuff, but use your own money. This nonsense has to stop. Every cockfight outside of Barbados she won't go to, and then well, in Barbados we only get hen fights though, but you know our cockfights because the cocks have been neutered.
What do they, how does that make you feel to know that there is the estimate the prime minister is a minister over what is seven different ministries, and she was not present at the estimate. She came in and marked her name, but she didn't go in and sit down. The time she was in Barbados, she went in and marked her name, make sure that she's marked present, but she doesn't go and sit down. Barbadians, how do you feel about that? Is that something that you're accepting?
Now let me explain something to you, Marcy, before the other people question it or answer or even speak on it. You only have to be there once to get on their mark for the entire session, because the estimates this meeting is not adjourned. It's not an adjournment. So the host is if the host will adjourn the day then you come back, you have to have a new sitting, but it's not a new sitting, it's a continuous sitting. So once you are there once, you are there all the time. So the records will show that the prime minister was present. So down the road, when you're looking for the records, you will see that the prime minister is present, but we know she was not there. You know, this you see, when you don't understand, when you don't know how Parliament operates. You know, when they adjourned, they said the sitting is suspended. So if the sitting is suspended, it is still one sitting. So if she tell it once and she's marked, she's been there.
You know that last night it was, I believe, I saw this morning too. I watched a clip which was saying that the Barbados Labour Party and the government hosted the Chinese Communist Party for a big fete soiree happening yesterday. So it's on Facebook right now. The Chinese Communist Party had persons, they had clips, they had pictures, entourage, and said that they were seeking to form fraternal bonds and ties with the Barbados Labour Party, and they threw a big tea party happening yesterday.